In Emmerdale, Jacob Sugden is driven to his limits next week by the scheming Dr Todd, and he ultimately finds the strength to move forward with an official complaint against his controlling superior. However, the question remains, will anyone trust Jacob's version of events after Todd cleverly frames him as the antagonist? An insider reveals that Jacob makes a serious mistake when he follows Todd into the women's toilets at the Woolpack to challenge her, playing directly into her hands. The drama unfolds after Todd suggests to Sarah that Jacob is eager to return to work despite their newborn, a claim that understandably enrages him. His frustration leads to a heated confrontation in the pub, which intensifies when he trails her into the restroom. The situation takes an even worse turn when Vanessa walks in and catches him there. Later on, Vanessa arrives at the shop and sharply criticizes Jacob for what she sees as unacceptable conduct. Not long after, Sarah presses Jacob to explain Vanessa's accusations, prompting the trainee doctor to finally open up about the ongoing harassment he has been facing at work. An insider shares that Jacob becomes emotional as he confides in Sarah about the distress Todd has been causing him. Fortunately, Sarah stands firmly by his side, believing everything he says and promising to support him in resolving the issue. Recognizing the strain Todd's actions are placing on Jacob, Sarah also confronts Vanessa and challenges her for accepting Todd's version of events without question. At the same time, Jacob attends another meeting with Carol from HR to discuss filing a formal complaint, but he is left shocked when Carol informs him that Todd has already lodged one first. According to sources, Todd has submitted a substantial amount of evidence against Jacob, including recorded audio, leaving him feeling completely overwhelmed and convinced he has little hope of proving his innocence. Disheartened, Jacob updates Sarah on the situation and Todd's damaging evidence file. Despite this setback, Sarah refuses to let him give up and urges him to stand his ground, not just for his career, but also in honor of his late mother, Layla. Motivated by Sarah's encouragement, Jacob heads to Tug Gill to confront Todd directly. The big question now is whether Jacob will finally free himself from Todd's grip, or if his attempt to fight back will ultimately make things even worse. In Emmerdale, Beowulf is hit with a series of dramatic setbacks next week as the court case over Ray Walters' killing finally begins. Bear, along with Paddy Dingle and Dylan Penders, soon discover what lies ahead for them as the legal proceedings unfold. Paddy is deeply worried about his father's fate, while also fearing that both he and Dylan could end up imprisoned for helping to conceal what happened. As the day of judgment arrives, Paddy and Dylan share a heartfelt exchange before heading off to court. Elsewhere, Marlon Dingle attempts to steady a nervous April Windsor, who has been called to testify about her involvement in Ray and Celia's criminal operation. Once the trial gets underway, lawyers outline the ordeal Bear suffered while being controlled within the illegal setup. Although it is vital for the court to grasp the circumstances that drove him to kill, revisiting those traumatic events proves extremely challenging. At the same time, April recounts how she was coerced into dealing drugs and nearly forced into sex work by Ray, bravely telling her story in front of the court. However, under intense questioning, she becomes overwhelmed and fears her testimony may have harmed the defense. Unable to cope, April rushes out of the courtroom in distress. Marlon follows her and offers reassurance, praising her courage and reminding her she has done all she can to help. The focus then shifts to Dylan as he takes the stand. Having previously been manipulated by Ray, he has only recently found safety and stability. Speaking honestly, Dylan tells the court how Ray once threatened both his life and Paddy's, crediting Bear for stepping in and ultimately putting an end to the danger. His account helps clarify events for Bear, who still carries guilt for involving others. What Bear doesn't realize is that an even bigger challenge is approaching, as an unexpected development threatens to derail everything. The defense calls Simo, another worker from the farm, but instead of helping their case, his testimony creates chaos in the courtroom. According to Bear's portrayer Joshua Richards, Simo holds resentment, believing Bear was treated better than others, despite the reality that Bear was being manipulated himself. His evidence ends up backfiring, leaving the defense with no option but to put Bear on the stand. Paddy, Mandy, and the rest of the family are shaken by this sudden move, aware that Bear is emotionally fragile and may struggle under pressure. Although they have the evening to prepare, the growing tension makes it clear that everything now depends on what happens next. Proceedings resume with testimony from Bear's counsellor Lucy, who explains that his actions were the result of prolonged psychological control. Finally, Bear must face the court himself and relive his traumatic past under questioning. The outcome now hinges on whether he can withstand the pressure and whether he, Paddy, and Dylan can avoid prison. In Emmerdale, a gripping new promo has been unveiled, teasing intense scenes as 3 residents prepare to stand trial. The upcoming storyline sees Bear Wolf, Paddy Dingle, and Dylan Penders appear in court, with one accused of murder and the other 2 charged with attempting to obstruct justice. A freshly released image from the ITV drama shows the trio standing in the dock, leaving viewers wondering who will ultimately be convicted. The latest trailer, scheduled to air after 10 p.m. on ITV, is already available online and offers a tense preview of the episodes ahead. Regular viewers will recall that Bear took the life of his captor, Ray, during a disturbing modern slavery storyline. After admitting to the act, he is now awaiting his day in court. Courtroom scenes are set to begin airing from Monday, 4th of May, with a teaser suggesting that Bear's actions will be closely examined as the court considers what drove him to commit the crime. Having endured months of exploitation and pushed beyond his limits, Bear acted to protect both his son Paddy and Dylan from Ray's control. But whether this will influence the verdict remains uncertain. Paddy and Dylan are also facing serious consequences, as both have been accused of covering up Bear's actions and interfering with the course of justice. Discussing the storyline, actor Joshua Richards hinted that difficult times are ahead for his character, although he expressed a desire to remain part of the show long-term. He shared that he would happily continue in the role indefinitely if given the opportunity, describing the series as unpredictable and full of surprises, much like a box of chocolates, a nod to Forrest Gump. He also pointed out that Bear's future is uncertain, particularly with the court case looming, and admitted the character would struggle to cope behind bars due to his nature and lack of criminal mindset. In Emmerdale, a dramatic week is ahead as new spoilers hint at revenge, possible exits, and a looming downfall for one major character. Upcoming episodes suggest that several storylines will collide, with 2 residents setting their sights on bringing down a dangerous figure, putting his future in serious jeopardy. Sarah soon recognizes the extent of Jacob's distress, caused by Todd, and pushes him to confront the situation. She also challenges Vanessa for siding with Todd instead of trusting Jacob. When Jacob finally gathers the courage to file an official complaint, he is left stunned after discovering that Todd has already reported him first. Todd presents a detailed collection of evidence, including recorded audio, leaving Jacob fearing the outcome could go against him. Elsewhere, Dawn finds it increasingly difficult to maintain her act around Joe as she secretly works with Moira to undermine him. At the same time, Moira stands by Kane as he opens up about worries surrounding his upcoming operation, while she also struggles with guilt over keeping Robert's betrayal hidden from him. With shocking revelations and major twists on the horizon, the coming episodes promise significant consequences that could reshape multiple storylines. The series continues to air on weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is also available for streaming on ITVX.